What I think you do is you run it back, but you get rid of Fibs.
A few moments later.
OKC is probably going to win in five.
Crazy
We've got
number.
a shams bomb, guys. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sports Debates. I'm Ryan. We've got Dwayne. We've got Emmanuel. The NBA Finals are set. It's the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers. Not the matchup people were expecting, but a fun matchup overall. The best defense in the league versus the best offense in the league. First, we're going to recap the series, the Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals. We're going to take a look at what's next for the Knicks and the Timberwolves, and then we'll dive right in to the finals preview. So, starting in the Eastern Conference, it was the Pacers over the Knicks. They won in 6 games. They won the first two. Knicks won games 3 and 5. Pacers were able to close that out. Big come from behind winning that first game, and that really set the tone for the series. Pascal Siakam was the MVP, averaged 25, 5, and 3, shot 50% from the field and from beyond the three-point line. Halliburton was great as always. He averaged 21, 6, and 10. He had a couple triple doubles in that series. Neesmith shot great. Turner was big in the paint, getting blocks. So overall, the Pacers were just looking unstoppable. Brunson played well, of course, 31, 2, and 6. Cat gave you 25 and 12 a night. OG averaged 17 and a half. But it wasn't enough. 98 turnovers for the Knicks, 52 steals for the Pacers. So, Dwayne, what were your main takeaways from this series?
I mean, when you look at the Pacers shooting, when they're 7 seconds in and shooting the ball, they're 50, I believe it was 53%, which is an outstanding number. That shows the level of efficiency they run at. When it's more than those 7 seconds, it's about 14% my apologies, it's from the 3 point land. 17% from the 3 point land in those latter seconds. So if they run an efficient offense, and I believe the one key things in the series that we saw ESPN show was the whole thing about fast break points. I believe it was 149 to like 44 in fast break, with the Pacers leading that, and stellar defense. I mean, and the Knicks just being sloppy. Honestly, the Pacers exposed if Cat was really a good defender, and we figured it out. He might be big, but he don't got the IQ for it. Props to the Pacers who have proven me wrong this entire playoff series, gladly, and props to Tyrese Halliburton.
When you're looking at this series, it was a really great series to watch. It shouldn't have been. I'm gonna be honest. If it wasn't for Mitchell Robinson for the Knicks, they would have not even been in any of those games because of those second chance points that he was able to collect and put back up there for them. Another thing about this team is that you see, like Dwayne said, Karl Anthony Towns' defensive adjustments need to be made for him because he didn't understand what they were doing. You would see it, the Pacers would purposely target him, and they would be clueless. Another thing about the Pacers is they're a fast paced team. So obviously, you go against the Knicks. The Knicks are known to play their starters 40 minutes per game. They weren't obviously the starters still played a lot of minutes, but they weren't able to just not rely on the bench. They had to go into their bench a couple of games, which is I got to give props to Thibs to actually make that adjustment, but he should have made an adjustment a long time ago. That's what really made the Pacers break out here and beat them 4-2 in the series. Is that the Pacers had enough bench, the Knicks didn't, and the Pacers are just an all around better team.
Yeah, it's the same thing we've been preaching this whole time. The Pacers just have unbelievable depth. I mean, compared to the Knicks, as you mentioned, their starting five just plays the whole game. Look at Neesmith only played 27 minutes a game. So Miles Turner only played 29. So they had two starters playing less than 30 minutes a game, and both those guys had fantastic series. You had Nemhard and Mathurin and Obi Toppin, all these guys coming off the bench playing over 15 minutes in the game. The Knicks, you got Landry Shamet. He shot well, but that should not be your best guy off the bench. Obviously, Mitchell Robinson was great. But you could tell the Knicks were just exhausted, and they knew they'd have to come back and win several games down the stretch, and they were able to win that fifth game. But you'd have to win two more, and they just didn't have it in them, and it's not necessarily their fault. I mean, they're playing as well as they can, but depth is going to win championships, and the two teams that are in the finals right now are the two deepest teams, so it makes sense. Do you guys think Siakam should have gotten that MVP over Halliburton?
Honestly, I think statistically wise, Siakam did earn it. But when you was watching the game and you saw like for the first game where they came back thanks to Tyrese Halliburton, I don't know. I kind of wish we gave it to him. He did kind of save them there.
I mean, I definitely think Halliburton definitely gets that. You don't. I think one statistic I feel like that kind of wins it was the whole like 34, 15, and 12 with no turnovers. Like that's a really like
It's one of the best
oh,
games I've seen.
right. So it's kind of like, have we seen Chris Paul do that? No. Have we seen, most of these generational point guards do these things? Not necessarily. With zero turnovers. I mean, we've seen triple doubles, obviously Russ and players whatnot, but with no turnovers. That is a mind-boggling thing. I can't imagine what his assist turnover ratio looks like. It must look inhuman.
All right, in the Western Conference, Thunder over the Wolves. Wolves. This was a quick series, a 5-game series. The Wolves, the game that they did win, the third game was an absolute blowout. Just a random blip in the universe there where they won by like 40 points. But that was literally the only good thing they did all series. It was all Thunder. SGA won the series MVP, averaging 31, 5, and 8. J-Dub stepped up big time, gave him 22 and 7. 4 players on the Thunder averaged over a steal a game. That's been the story for the Thunder. Their defense, 55 total steals in the series. The Wolves had 87 turnovers and were just lost offensively. Guys just looked tired. They didn't have it in them late in the game. Edwards had 23, 7, and 5, but he shot 28% from 3. Mind you, this was the NBA 3-point leader in the regular season. Julius Randle dropped the 40 bomb in the first game and then disappeared, averaging 17, 6, and 3 overall in the series. McDaniels averaged a steal and a block per game, so he did his job defensively, but ultimately not enough on the offensive end for the Wolves. So, Emmanuel, your takeaways from the series?
First off, love to see it. Love to see the series. And speaking of game three, we all played with our parents playing sports or something, and they let us win one just to get our confidence back up, and then just beat us down again. That's what happened in game three. The Timberwolves are our sons, so we had to treat them like it. Overall, right? Like I said, unfortunately, that episode didn't make it. The Wolves didn't have the personnel to stop the Thunder. They weren't fouling smartly, and you can see that in game one. Jaden Daniels, he pushes Shea down because he's frustrated. And even when he got fouled out, you can clearly see that he had his hand in the cookie jar. And when you're going against somebody like SGA, you have to play smartly. And they didn't do that, unfortunately. And if they did, I think it would have been a lot closer of a series. Rudy Gobert, he completely forgot he was the center again. I said it that he can only
Surprise.
do that. He can only do that when he's playing against no teams that don't have centers. What I would like to give a shout out to one player in particular, Isaiah Hartenstein. No, yeah, I'm gonna give it out to Hartenstein. He did great playing in the middle. When the Wolves went to his zone, it was either him or Alex Caruso, and also Hartenstein reading the dunker spot underneath, where we saw a lot of plays get made. This series, though, overall, I told you it was going to be like a 5 or 6 game series, but I never had doubt in my Thunder.
This series brought up a question that NBA media also saw is what are you supposed to do when you have great defenders like Alex Caruso and most of that OKC defense be handsy, which is playoff basketball, and I love that. I love that type of defense because that defense wins championships. But then alternatively, you can't touch Shea. Now, this is not to take away from anything OKC does, because that's not on OKC. That's actually on the refs and the NBA organization as a whole. OKC didn't do anything wrong. They're actually playing their cards correctly, and they're playing it perfectly. And it's not to take away from anything because it's smart, it's strategic. Yeah, people are going to be mad when you win. That's just the way it is. That's what they did with the Warriors. That's what they did with the Heat. That's what they did with the Spurs. All these great dynasties who ended up going back to back or winning multiple, people got mad because they were winning and winning strategically, whether that meant, shooting a whole bunch of threes, getting to the free throw line, whatever it is, they're winning. So though I do understand the take of like, what are you supposed to do? Look at the refs. Don't look at the players in this, because the players are just doing what they're doing to win. But well, more or less on a more overall take, obviously I have my gripes against Rudy Gobert, and it showed why he was maybe a three-time defensive player of the year, but he plays defense only 50% of the time. With Randall, I'm not going to say this was expected, but it's not anything terribly surprising. He's had playoff struggles before. Edwards not shooting well. That's what happens when you have great defense.
Quick thing there about Rudy Gobert. We already knew he was a struggle when it comes to guarding guards at the perimeter. And you see this in the series where SGA would switch on to him, and then SGA plays the mid range instead of going to the 3 point line. And if he backed down just a bit, he would pull up right there, and Rudy would be out of position to even contest it most of the time. You would see that a lot, and then you would see him change it up. So Rudy Gobert starts playing the mid range, and then there's somebody in the dunker spot, and he dishes it down, and then you go right there. Or he pulls Rudy Gobert out, and they can't get the rebound because you have the thin towers with Hartenstein and Chet, which really allowed for second chance points as well.
Going into this series, like you wanted it to go 7 because it was SGA versus Edwards, and the Timberwolves have been playing great basketball. But in reality, this was a 1 seed playing a 6 seed, and this was one of the better NBA regular season teams playing a 6 seed. Like, as much as it could have been more competitive, like, there's really no knock necessarily on the Timberwolves. Like, you just ran into a force. The main concern was the 3-point shooting. I had said it in a previous episode that they're going to live and die by the 3-point shooting. Some of their role players stepped up bigger, like DiVincenzo had a better shooting series, McDaniels. But Edwards and Naz Reid both shot under 30%. Naz Reid shot 22% from 3. And I mean, he lit up that Lakers series. It just wasn't consistent. And I think that was probably what was going to be able to keep them in the series, because OKC's had their own 3-point struggles throughout the playoffs. Wasn't able to happen. I mean, but at the end of the day, they ran into one of the best NBA teams we've seen in a minute. So let's go look at the Wolves offseason. What's next for them? You've got 2 key players that have player options, Julius Randle and Naz Reid. Now, Naz Reid is definitely going to opt out because it's only $15 million, and he probably thinks he can get, and he probably can get a lot more on the market. Julius Randle, basically $31 million. So he might stay because that's a pretty good contract for him, unless he can go get a multi-year deal for the same annual value, which is very possible. Other than that, it's Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who is a free agent. But you still got Edwards, of course. You still got Gobert. Manuel, what do you want to see the Wolves add to this roster to get back?
So as a replacement for Naz Reid, and maybe even a replacement for Rudy Gobert, because he struggled a lot. I would like them to try to pick up Brook Lopez as a potential replacement for Naz Reid coming off the bench. He averaged 13 points per game, and he's a really good rebounder as well. Obviously, he won't be the offensive firepower that Naz Reid was when he comes to shooting. He's really good facilitator as well. But Brook Lopez is a pretty good facilitator, probably not on the same level as Naz Reid. But another thing I want them to see to continue to develop the youth. You have Terrence Shanahan, who did unspeakable things to my Thunder in Game 3. You also have Rob Dillingham. I think if they just develop the youth there, they have a really nice bench and core coming up. Randall, more than likely, I will put a lot of good money that he does opt into that player option. You guys just went to the Western Conference Finals. You guys did lose, but like you went to the Western Conference Finals. And I'm sure if you guys maybe ran it back with a few minor tweaks, you guys could probably even break past of it. Obviously, well, no, they won't break past of it because OKC is a dynasty.
I think this is the season where you realize Rudy is not who he is. I think you trade Rudy, actually. I don't think you keep him whatsoever. And if that package comes along with Randall, you do that. I
That's a
don't,
lot of
I
money.
don't, yeah, I don't advise trading Randall because at the same time, I do like his presence with the team. I feel like he bestows a level of veteran slash leadership there, not necessarily in winning championships, but as a NBA player. And I feel like that's solid to have. Rudy is such a offensive liability, and then at times such a defensive liability. You're forced to just have him. Like the one thing that I said to y'all, I was like, no matter what rotation, it feels like you have to have him in because like if you don't have him in, it's a waste of money and like kind of a waste of height, but he's a waste of height himself. So like I don't know. It's kind of difficult. They're in a difficult situation with him. So just remove him to not make it a more difficult situation.
If you do try to trade him, it's going to be really hard to do so.
And that's
A
what I was
lot of
thinking.
teams value switchability, and Rudy Gobert has absolutely zero switchability. He cannot switch onto guards. He can't switch onto the wings. He's it's really hard. He's literally just a perimeter. If this was maybe early 2000s where it was all about ground or the paint play, he could probably make a living there and be probably one of the best players. But I
I
don't know if
mean,
anybody would trade for him.
he would have to go to a team that's already solid in the perimeter for them to accept to like hit with him to play the way he plays, and it's still a good team.
Well, the Wolves are now. They're a pretty good perimeter team, but there's only one weakness there, and that's Rudy Gobert. Like
So
you got Ant's a good defender. You got Jaden Daniels. You got all these other guys that can guard pretty well from the perimeter. But then as soon as we see that you have a weakness there, we're going to start going after him and start switching on to him.
no, most definitely, and that's why I'm saying he's not the most tradable piece, but he definitely needs to be moved. I feel like if they keep him another year, they cost. Because think about it, teams that didn't have a big man this year that they played are probably going to search and try to get one this offseason,
Mhm.
in which you're not going to have that same situation where you're dropping 22 and 22. Maybe you trade him for you definitely got to trade him. Now for what? I feel like is a different stance. I feel
Are
like
you are
hmm,
you okay with giving back less than what you
no,
probably normally would get? No,
no.
really.
I mean to me, this is why I said Randall as well because I need another consistent scorer, my opinion. Like if that's a Kevin Durant, sure. I'm not saying I would do Randall and Rudy for Kevin Durant. I feel like that's a bit too much. I definitely do think they need another good scorer and a in a forward, I'll say. I won't say a guard because you still need Robert Dillingham at that point because I feel like he can grow into a good NBA point guard. And then you have Ant at that shooting guard. So now we're looking at forwards. And I wouldn't want to get rid of Randall because Randall still plays pretty good defense. And when he's scoring, he is good. But the issue comes in is he consistent? No. And obviously, I don't think you're going to get a big man score now because those are so valuable. And you're not getting it for Rudy in any sense. So you would have to trade either a young piece in Rudy or Randall and Rudy.
So if Randall opts in and you decide to keep him, do you think that the duo of Randall and Edwards is good enough to win a championship? I mean, Randall, in his time with the Knicks, gave you a couple seasons averaging 24, 25. Or do you need to see a better secondary option for Edwards?
I think right there, you're not a championship contender. You're going to be guaranteed to make the playoffs at, well, maybe because the West is really strong and it's only going to get stronger, but you're not going to be contenders. I say you don't even need, I think he's a good enough secondary. You have some, maybe you need a third instead, a third addition scorer for the replacement for when Randall is not scorching hot on offense. This team's really good, but no, you're not going to be a contender.
The reason why we said they were possibly going to make it is because they were on a run. Doesn't mean that they're always going to be contender, in which I don't think so. It's not that Randall is not a good two, it's that I need a more consistent two with Ant, more or less. A consistent three would be nice because who is their consistent three? Nas Reed off the bench, Jaden McDaniels, who has to probably guard the best player on the opposite team most of the. You know what I'm saying? So you come with disadvantages on that third person. So no, they're not. If they were to run it back, I would see them making the playoffs. That's about it. Probably out in the first, second round.
All right, let's slide over to the Eastern Conference, where the New York Knicks are paying a lot of money to a lot of guys. Karl Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby, and Jay Brunson being paid a combined $127 million next year. That is 82.5% of their cap space. Mikal Bridges is also up for an extension. He's in the last year of his contract. Achua,
Mm,
Payne, and Shamet are entering free agency. So the big story with this team is they've got a great starting group that has taken them far in back-to-back playoffs, but they don't really have a bench. They've run out of steam. These guys have played so many minutes over the last 2 years. So, Manuel, do we just run this back with this core, paying them all this money, and hopefully we can have some people step up on the bench? Or do we maybe move something around?
well, all these guys, when I'm looking at them, I don't think I want to let any of them go. What I think you do is you run it back, but you get rid of Thibs. Don't forget, Mike Malone is still a coach out there. You know, he's just hovering around waiting for somebody to hire him. I think that would be a really nice fit for the New York Knicks. But when you're looking at what to do, though, you gotta find something even small, like not dirt cheap, but a good deal on a player that's able to cover up for the defensive ineptitude that is Karl Anthony Towns. You need to find something there to help him out because teams will start to pick on him, and then right there, I mean, you watch the series, right? You see him not making smart fouls, getting into foul trouble early, not being able to make the proper reads on defense. Jalen Brunson's getting upset at him because he's not doing what he's supposed to do, and you can't trade him because you guys just traded for him. So you're like, do we just give it up? Do we break up, or do we just try to fix our little relationship problem? And I think the answer is try to fix it. And if it doesn't work, you guys burn it all to the ground.
I mean, I believe he is tradable next year around All-Star break. But here's the case. I don't think Tibbs was necessarily the issue. Tibbs looks at his bench and sees this is not a bench that is playoff worthy. So he plays his seven guys because he knows his seven guys are probably going to try to get it done as best as possible. Now, I don't agree with Tibbs's game plan there, but he's not wrong. Those other guys don't look good. I mean, that's just to be fair. Like Miles McBride is your best person off the bench. I mean, obviously the Mitchell Robinson, but you know what I'm saying. Like it's like that's not really enough if you want to be a championship team. If you just want to be a playoff team and go far, there you go. Done. If you want to roll the dice each time, like hopefully we don't go against the Pacers, hopefully we don't go against the Celtics, then sure. But if you want a consistent playoff championship team, you need a defense. So if that means I got to get rid of one of these expensive players, I will if I feel like I have a better chance of going farther than what I just did. I don't even think that necessarily for them, this season is a failure because they went to the conference champion. I mean, that's hard to do. Now, in the East, it's a lot easier than the West, obviously. But their road wasn't necessarily easy either. They faced the Pistons the first round, which they were hungry. You face the Celtics. Well, Tatum gets injured, but they're still the Celtics. So you still got a little worry there. And then you face a Pacers team that is absolutely scorching. To me, not even a failed season, but I definitely see, oh no, some pieces have to be moved.
Yeah,
Because it
but
I mean, I'd rather not trade Towns, to be
no,
honest.
I wasn't even considering Towns. I was just looking at the, like, OG Anunoby, well, you're not definitely not touching Brunson. You
No,
touch
not at all.
Brunson, New York's going up in flames. If you want bench players, but you gotta free up some cap space. But these
Absolutely.
guys are,
That's why you trade a big player.
What about
yeah, these
Mikal
guys.
Bridges? He's on the last year of his contract. You're paying him 25 mil, and then he goes into free agency where he's going to get a lot of good offers.
I don't think so. Because he won you 2 games against the Knicks with Tatum there.
But you gotta
That
sacrifice someone.
and that's where I'm saying either
You could get a
Towns.
whole bench for Bridges probably. He get
I
like
Yeah,
mean,
3 guys off the bench.
I was gonna say you saw what they traded. I mean, I know it was a bad trade, but you saw what Rudy Gobert got. You saw what they traded for Karl Anthony Towns, Dante DiVincenzo, who was a critical piece of that team, Julius
mm,
Randle.
I
Because you're not
I
gonna.
mean that's of Cat's value though.
Yeah, but the thing is, well, everybody's gonna value a stretch a stretch big like Karl Anthony Towns,
Right.
even if the defense is bad. But the thing is, you're going to trade these guys. You're not going to get the same caliber of players because you're trying to aim for a bench.
Yeah, let's look at it this way. We trade Cat, big amount of money comes down. Now we can bring in a whole bunch of good, solid bench players. Now, don't get me wrong, Cat still was significant throughout the entire playoffs, rebounding wise, but defensively, he's such a liability that I think I forgot the statistic, but he got switched on so much. It like his the points scored on him was absurd. I forgot the statistic, but I was just like, dude, come on. Like, if it's a guard, if it's a big, it doesn't matter. Whoever is switched on him, it was wild. And what frustrates me there is that a lack of effort? Is it an IQ issue? Does he not know what to run on defense? Like, I don't know. But this is consistent of him. And that's my issue.
You know what? I think if you trade him, you could probably get Mitchell Robinson to be a more quality, better starter there. But the problem about Mitchell Robinson is his health. And I think playing off the bench helped him out a lot in that way.
I will say the one thing to look at with the Eastern Conference next year is, you got the Celtics without Tatum. They'll still be a competitive team, but it might be a step back, at least in their seeding. The Bucks might be getting rid of Giannis. You don't know what you're going to get from the 76ers. The Heat got rid of Butler. The Cavs have been great in the regular season, but they just choked away 2 straight championship runs. And then the Pacers are probably the only team standing in their way next year. Like, they could run it back and end up with the 1 seed next year just because of how the Eastern Conference is. It's just a matter of can they make it through the playoffs. NBA Finals time starts on Thursday. It's the Thunder versus the Pacers. Both teams have been at the top of points per game in the playoffs, both at just around 117 points per game. The Pacers have led the league with shooting 40.1% from beyond the arc. That is the best in the NBA. The Thunder have been at 33.5, which is 13th among all the playoff teams. But they have stolen a whopping 10.8 basketballs a game, leads the league. They're both up there in net rating. They have dominated the field. They've had come from behind wins. They've had blowout wins. In the regular season, they actually matched up twice. OKC won both those matchups. One was in December, the day after Christmas, and again at the end of March. SGA had 2 really good games, if I remember correctly from those box scores. Emmanuel, start us off just looking at this matchup. How do you feel about this series?
Oh, this series got me feeling great. The Thunder are going to take this in 5. Thunder in 5. Right? So you're looking at the series, you're looking at the defensive matchups. The Thunder are obviously the better defensive team here. And for the Pacers, I'm really wondering who's going to guard, Jalen Williams or Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I don't think they have a consistent dog that can go out there and do that. And another thing about the Pacers is that they play fast pace and they often try to score off the fast break. Well, you're not going to be able to do that so easily because the Thunder is one of the best fast break defenses in the league. This is possibly the worst matchup for the Pacers. I think the Thunder are basically just like it's kind of like the Void. You have the Void and you have the Sentry, and you here. This is the Sentry. The Thunder are the Sentry right here. They're the counterpart of the Pacers.
I kind of agree with that. I think about it as a Pokemon evolution. Like, the Pacers are here. OKC is here. Like, it's a significant gap in entire team wise, even the depth wise. Pacers are, of course, a depth team, but OKC has a better depth, if that makes sense. So I have OKC in 5. Here's the thing. I don't want to doubt this Pacers team because they have proven me wrong every turn. The difference between East and West is so large, like on how good of a team is, that you're talking about a quite literally a David and Goliath. Now we saw who won David and Goliath, but I think this is the one where Goliath wins in this situation. Now the reasoning is what I mentioned before, and a little bit of both sides here. Nembhard cannot play the same defense he played against Jalen Brunson on SGA. He was bodying Jalen Brunson, and I mean it was great playoff defense. I think it was great. People might call it foul. I think it was great, but you're not doing that against Shea. He's going to get that call 100% of the time. That's not happening. And plus, if Nemhart's really your best defender, yeah, you're not looking too good. Alex Caruso is definitely. I'm not going to say locking up Halliburton because that would be a bad idea.
Oh,
Uh,
my
no, go
bad.
ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I wanted to say this. So I was making a bet with Ethan.
Oh God,
Halliburton won't have a 30-point game
that's believable.
because
But
and then I
make
wanted
it
to
a little bit more interesting though.
30-point game
More than because that's not really where he's big at.
scoring.
Nah, assist.
I know that, but I mean like defense. Well, I'll say he'll probably average about 3 turnovers a series, maybe more.
Ooh,
But who would you have? Let's say hypothetically, the refs swallow their whistles. They'll still call them, but it has to be really god darn blatant
okay,
for them to call it, right?
yeah.
Who would you take in the series if the refs swallow their whistle?
I take OKC in 6 or 7.
Yeah, I think it goes 6.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
They get a game.
OKC is
Pacers get one
still
more
a
game.
better team. Think about it. It's number one offense versus number one defense. Like yet again, the discrepancy between East and West is so large in the skill. And then if the Nuggets came in, I'm taking the Nuggets. You know what I'm saying? Like most teams in the West, if you see them against the Pacers, you're probably taking them over the Pacers. Now in probably a longer series. Don't undermine the Pacers at all, because that's a bad idea. Come on, it's OKC. We're talking about one almost the top five records in total in playoff and regular season.
And possibly one of the best defensive teams all time.
Right. We're talking about such a statistically and historically crazy team against a team that's in no sense bad at all, but it's in the East where things are a lot sweeter.
It's unfortunately Thunder in 5, but I want to make just my case for the Pacers. And it's the underdog magic that they have. And Dwayne, to quote you, they are sacrificing children in Indiana.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's 2 key factors on the Pacers. The first one is their coach, Rick Carlisle, who was the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks when they knocked out LeBron's Big Three in Miami, one of the most, if not the most, impressive championship run by a team, right? Iconic. Another impressive championship run against a team that we thought was unbeatable was when the Toronto Raptors beat the Golden State Warriors. Now, I know KD got hurt and Clay got hurt and all that, but you know who was Kawhi's number 2? Pascal Siakam, who's fresh off of a fantastic series. He had 3 30-point games and won the conference MVP for the series. You got those 2 guys who have been underdogs and have won championships in that role, putting their minds together with Tyrese Halliburton and the rest of that squad. They've got the magic, so don't be surprised if it happens.
Let me say this. This is the reality we're in. OKC is probably going to win in 5. But if the Pacers have any chance to win, right, it has to be in 7. Like it has to be pushed to 7 games. There's no universe where the Pacers win in 4, 5, 6. They have to win at the 7th.
Yep.
Because this is bad. Because I'm a little nervous. Because this team is black magic personified. Like it's so wild what they've done. Like, it's not normal. This is not one of those, like you don't see a dude hit 5 straight threes and then come back and win game 1 like that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not the first instance of this happening. Am I nervous for OKC? Yes, simply because this is an unnatural team.
Another thing about this matchup I'm thinking about, right? We all said Halliburton is a great passer, right? What does OKC do best on the defense?
Read the passing lanes.
Read the passing lanes. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Dwayne. So you're seeing these passes, and I'm really wondering if these other teammates of his are going to be able to properly read the passing lanes and get around the OKC's defense there. Another thing is second chance point. Y'all got destroyed by Mitchell Robinson down there. I'm kind of curious what Hartenstein and Chet will do down there.
I'm just gonna say Hartenstein, not Chet.
Well, yeah, Hartenstein really crazy.
We've got a Shams bomb, guys.
What happened?
Live on the show. Emmanuel, you spoke it into existence. The Knicks are firing Tom Thibodeau.
Let's go! Let's go! That's got to be a clip. That's got to be a clip.
No way.
Yep.
Oh my goodness! I'm sending this to my New York friend right now.
Right. They just said his job wasn't just this a week. No, not even a week ago. Like a few days ago, they just said his job was fine.
Well, they say a lot of things, but he is
Holy
out.
cow.
So, you said Malone's
Knicks pick
out
him up.
there.
I mean, not Knicks. Sixers pick him up. I don't care.
No.
Please.
Give us Mike Malone.
Force them.
He can have him beat out there on one leg.
Please, I rather.
He's gonna run Max. He's gonna turn Maxey into the next Embiid, bro.
Wow, that's crazy. That's what your face was.
I know. I was waiting for the pause because we were cooking up. And I was
holy cow! Wow.
He led the Knicks to the first Eastern Conference Finals in
And
25 years.
Yes, and then gets I'm not
made playoffs in 4 or 5 years and achieved consecutive 50-plus win seasons for the first time since the 1990s. And they fired him. Oh, I can see.
Lord forbid a man sees a bench that is not good. Bro,
yeah, he didn't have that much to work with, but
yeah, and then they're gonna fire him. Like, bro, it's not even his fault. It's the organization's fault. They're giving him players that aren't like.
Watch him go to the Nuggets. Oh wait, no, never mind. I forgot they signed their the head coach.
Goes to the Grizzlies. Oh no, you know what'd be funny? He go to the Pelicans. I believe they fired their guy too.
Oh, but at least with the Grizzlies, he has something to work with there.
Yeah,
John Ram might be running to the ground and might be hobbling on one leg, but you got something.
Hey, Tibbs going to tell him not to jump.
Hey, we getting Mike Malone in New York?
No,
I mean,
it's not bad.
I think that's the best fit for that team.
Step one is getting some bench players. Doesn't matter who you have as coach.
Yeah, I was going to say. I don't think Michael Malone will like run into the same. No, well, kind of same issue because the bench ain't great in the Nuggets or the Knicks. Now, obviously, the starting five is a bit different, but it ain't much. That's crazy.
Do you think they're going to start moving pieces now that they fired the head coach?
Absolutely.
I feel like that's the next step there.
We about to see some crazy stuff from the Knicks because that's a bold move in itself. I like that. Yeah. That's hard to do. That man has been winning.
For LeBron James.
That'd be hilarious.
Hey, one thing's for certain: this offseason is going to be pretty crazy.
This is
all the names on the block.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the craziest we've seen. One. It's going to make the Luka trade look normal.
Oh, yeah. That was like the post-credit scene.
Oh, yeah.
Teasing the offseason to come.
Oh, my God.
Man. Any other comments on the finals?
Oh, well.
We were done there? Or...
Let me think. Yeah, I think we're good.
All right. Well, that just about does it. We back at the end of the finals with one team. We'll be holding the trophy. And then we'll start previewing this offseason and all the possible crazy moves that could happen.
And talking about OKC becoming a dynasty.
That too.
Right.
All right. This was Sports Debates. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.